I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Okay, roll call, please.
Weeks.
Here.
Thomas. Nipko.
Here.
Bradley.
Here.
Larkin.
Here.
Gilchrist.
Here.
Raver. Campbell.
Present. Okay, first order of business is approval of minutes from the October 13 council meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I have read the minutes and I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Larkin to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Thomas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under petitions and communications, public comments, Mr. Dillingham from Piper Jaffray is here to talk with us on fire truck financing options. Mr. Dillingham.
Thank you, Mayor Edwards. Jack Dillingham with Piper Jaffray, and I've been in communications a few times with the city and with the mayor and the fire chief, and was invited tonight to discuss with you all our thoughts and options that we see available to you with respect to looking at a project for firefighting improvements and putting it on the ballot possibly as early as April. What our conclusion is that the general obligation bonds that are outstanding at this time for the 2004 issue for firefighting as well matures in 2022. So from the perspective of the thought process of 2016, when you might be in the ability to issue more bonds if a successful election was held, that those bonds at that point would only be 6 years until they're matured. And we've solved a plan of finance that would allow for the refinancing of those bonds. They're at 5%, and refinance them and work into the amortization schedule and extend it by 4 years to 2026. And today's interest rates, the assumption we used was 3.25%. That we would have the ability to add an additional $185,000 of new money for firefighting equipment improvements, and as I say, extend the debt service requirements an additional 4 years. The impact on the tax rate or the levy would take the current levy, which is just under 12 cents per $100 assessed valuation, 11.86 to be exact, but just under 12 cents, up basically 9.5 cents to a new levy projection of a little over 21 cents per $100 assessed valuation, 21.36. And so with a 4/7 majority of those who vote at an election, and in 2016, with being a general election year for not only your usual April election, but also obviously we'll be looking at a statewide and federal elections in August and November. We have 3 election dates, in other words, in 2016. At the 4/7 majority, 57.14% will be available for the passage of these types of general obligation bonds. Obviously, there's probably pros and cons as to when to be on the ballot with respect to what else is on the ballot at the same time that voters would see. And certainly going at the April election might be the logical time from the standpoint of being able to know where you're at in terms of moving forward with the necessary improvements and renovations to fire truck that you are considering. So that's kind of an overview of what we have been discussing and working up in conjunction with being in front of you tonight. Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you or answer any questions and see where that leads us.
Okay, any comments? We just finished a tour of the fire truck, and council is all aware of what the needs are. The fire chief has explained what the particulars of the issue is
I see.
as far as what would be done to the truck.
Right.
So I think the picture is becoming clear as we move forward. On the financing part, is there any questions from the council on the amount of the levy, anything?
I'd like to say I've got reservations about even doing it. And the reason is in any organization, you have to prioritize your most pressing needs. I'd love to see the fire department get a brand new fire truck. I really would. I mean, the best money could buy, but we aren't in that position. And we've got issues with streets, we've got issues with sidewalks, we've got issues with storm sewers. And I think that money could be better used addressing those issues than a fire truck that is still serviceable. And the things that need to be done, the air conditioning, the tires, those are things we could do on a piecemeal basis. They need a set of tires, we vote for them. That's my opinion.
Yes, Jim.
Wasn't there some discussion with Chief Ralston? Didn't you say there was an $80,000 savings if we were to cash out of this bond and get a new bond at a lower interest rate?
I never said how much of the savings. I just know that we would be saving because of the 5% interest that we're paying now versus the 3.25% that was quoted.
Yeah, I have the savings, it's not really $80,000.
I didn't say how much.
And no one's, I'm not, it's, I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth that anybody said anything, but I have here what the projected net savings is. Once you get to that point. Yeah, it's only about $3,000 net savings, because when you go to refinance, there's fees that are proportionate between the old and the new, and only runs to 22. So therefore, it's only 6 years. There's not a whole lot of interest, period, on a little over $100,000. That's what's left.
Interest is all paid up front.
Well, yeah, you know how it is. It was done for 18 years, and we're now down to the final 6.
Yeah. Well, if there was a substantial savings, I would be in favor for a new bond and take the savings and put it back into the truck with $3,000.
And the reason why there's even that, frankly, is the fact that we'll be looking at adding it to something new. It doesn't matter whether it's firefighting equipment or another GO bond purpose, but combining it too, you could prorate the fees between the two, and there would be some net savings. If there was significant savings to refinance it on a standalone basis without factoring in sharing some of the costs between it and another issue, we would already be talking to you about refinancing it. But since it sounds better than it is when you talk 5% to 3.25%, you would think, oh gosh, well, there's got to be a lot of savings there. And there's some, and it's helpful, but it's not, it doesn't make or break the deal.
Any other comments, questions?
Well, certainly from a standpoint of the April election, whatever the purpose might be, if you will conclude that you want to vote this or whatever on the April election in some form or fashion, you have until the end of January, basically, 10 Tuesdays before the April election date. And so therefore, obviously, you have regular council meetings in December and January that would allow for this to be considered to still make the April ballot, if the April ballot was your decision. As I mentioned earlier, obviously, we also have August and November in an even numbered year like 2016, where it could be considered as well. So Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
We're being asked to approve a letter of engagement to move forward with the financing.
Yeah, this is a new regulatory requirement. We ran into it with the last issue.
Yeah.
And it doesn't commit you to put anything on the ballot, but from a perspective of just kind of, I guess you say, engaging us to work with you and developing any plan of finance over the next few years or so forth. Since I was going to be here tonight anyway, and we're going to talk about this, if the idea is that if at some point in time we may be working on a bond issue, certainly on a contingency basis, and you're not obligated anything more than just acknowledging that from a regulatory perspective in my industry, that you're formally allowing us to work with you on developing whatever this turns into.
What do they call that? An engagement letter or something?
Yeah. I think it's on the agenda there properly.
Engagement letter for general obligation bond series 2016.
And instead of sending that to the mayor and expecting him to sign that or whatever, obviously the thing was to do was, since I was going to be here tonight, include that in the agenda, let you all vote on that.
I'll make a motion, we proceed with the engagement letter. Make a motion to go ahead.
Do I hear a second?
For the second.
Second by Councilman Carter. All in favor, say aye.
Mayor, discussion.
Discussion.
Do we know how much it's gonna make the average taxes go up in the city of Holden?
Yes, the scenario that we discussed for an additional $185,000 takes the tax levy for general obligation bonds up basically in round numbers 10 cents per $100 assessed valuation. 9.5 cents was what.
Do you have any feel for how that would actually, a person's tax bill?
Well, honestly, it'd be very minimal. I think the best way to tell you that is, let's say, for example, someone owned a $100,000 home. You're assessed at 19% of that market value. So that would be a $19,000 assessed valuation. And
20 cents per
and,
month.
and therefore, if the levy went from 10 cents to 20 cents, basically is what we're talking about, 21. So 10 cents, that'd be $19 a year, I believe.
And thank you.
Excuse me?
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay, thank you, because I'm obviously talking on my feet.
Does a city to run up any stone walls where they can't finance projects anymore? I mean, can they get enough?
Yes, there is a debt capacity limit on general obligation bonds. It's 20% of the total assessed valuation.
Do you have any idea where you are as a city?
Sure, it's 18 million is the assessed valuation. So 20% of 18 million is 3.6 million. So that's why it's not even part of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's because it is such a large amount compared to the approximately 100,000 outstanding, and this 185 we're talking about would take you to approximately 300,000.
Does the
way
Board
up.
of Public Works bonds, they don't come in?
No, because they're not GO bonds.
Okay.
Revenue bonds, water sewer revenue bonds, which would be
Yeah.
traditionally them, or lease purchase financing, there is no debt limit. I think the voters usually tell us what the limit is by what they'll approve in terms of what it's going to do to water sewer rates.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the engagement letter for general obligation bonds for Series 2016. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, roll call, please.
Weeks,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Nipko,
Yeah.
Bradley,
No.
Parkin,
Yes.
Gilchrist,
No.
Rayford, McDaniel.
No.
I have 4 yes and 3 no. Motion carries.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be glad to develop whatever numbers you all want to see for whatever purpose, and come back and meet with you in whatever setting to have further discussions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, at this time, if Ben Taylor would come forward. This is Ben Taylor. He's trying for an Eagle Scout Award, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. It's my privilege to present Ben with a proclamation from the city as he and a bunch of volunteers gathered last weekend at the Holden City Park and painted all of the wood on the dugouts, painted one wall of the concession stand, and painted the trim on the concession stand. Correct? Okay. The proclamation reads, whereas volunteering of one's time and resources is an essential part of our country's tradition and it's essential to its spirit. And whereas volunteers have shown that they truly care and care generosity of themselves, and whereas the city of Holden's volunteer, Ben Taylor, has greatly improved the city baseball park, and whereas the giving of oneself in service to another empowers the giver and the recipient, and whereas Ben Taylor and other volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive town, and now therefore, I, Rick Edwards, Mayor of the City of Holden, Missouri, and the City Council members do hereby proclaim November 10th, 2015, Appreciation of Ben Taylor Day. Thank you. Did you have something you want to share, Ben?
No, I'm good.
Okay. They did a great job, and I would encourage anyone to stop out there and observe the work. It's a quality piece of work. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the agenda. Is there anyone from the chamber that would like to give a update? Okay.
Well, I can.
Okay. Sure.
I can just tell you some events coming up. The Friday after Thanksgiving will be downtown customer appreciation that we do each year. The ads will be coming out next week in the paper. Then the next day, Saturday, is going to be Small Business Saturday downtown. They're going to have some events going on from 11 to 3, I think. The Homes Tour, we're going to have some December 5th, and it's going to be a man cave theme for the night of December 5th, and then December 6th, we have, I think, 5 homes. I think there are 5 man caves and 5 homes on Sunday. So that'll be all coming out in the paper too. January 11th will be Volunteer Appreciation Day between both the Chamber and the Main Street are going to combine this year, and it'll be here, the night of January 11th. And then that's all that's on top of my head, I think.
Okay, sounds like a busy time. Anyone from Main Street like to care to speak? Okay, any other public comments? Anyone would like to address the council? Okay. We have, under liquor consumptions, we have Travis Wickham, wedding reception, November 28th, 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Okay, we'll vote on them separately. Do I have a motion to approve the Wickham request?
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Clarkin.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Redden. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Sarah Abel, Christmas Employee Party, December 12th, from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. Do I have a motion to approve the Abel request?
I make a motion.
Councilman Daniels. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Thomas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Debbie Keyword, December 18th, from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Is there a motion to approve the Keyword activity?
I'll make a motion.
Councilman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Weeks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item F, discuss, approve going forward with police department vehicle replacement. This has been an ongoing topic in the police department. Which way do we go? This way. For several months now, and I'm going to ask Councilman Weeks to share this handout with you. He's on the police. He's representative of the council to the police. He's been in conversation with the police department and probably is more knowledgeable than any of us.
A list of Missouri fleet from Missouri State Patrol and Kansas State Patrol. We see the price differences and availability, mileage. My recommendation is we got 2 cars that are down, one specifically down. We're looking at spending probably roughly $8,000 to $10,000 to get them back up and running. I'd rather spend that to buy new cars. I would prefer the Ford SUV. We've already got one. It works great with this. It's all-wheel drive. Works great in winter. But we're on a 1-year waiting list. We're still going to have to spend the money to repair the cars we got. We can't wait that long. We got Dodge Chargers, same thing the county uses. We looked into them quite a bit. Actually, we'd probably go with the Missouri Trooper side. They're under 55,000 miles, then have still the warranty on them. We talked about calling Dodge and see if we can get an extended warranty, how much it would cost to get that, see if that was an option. Just knowledge from patrolmen that run the Chargers, 2012 to jump. 14, 15 are all, or 15s are all-wheel drive, but we got 13 and 14s. 2013 is a feasible car. We've got a bunch of issues with 12. Actually, 14 would be the go-to car to make it work. When we buy a car, the average is 6 years with our department. We put anywhere from one officer drives, or one officer per shift runs about 10,000 miles a year. I would also ask if we're going to do that. We need to replace 2 of them immediately because we got 2 Crown Vics that are just done. We're going to dump a lot of money after we get them back on the road. And like I said, I'd rather spend that money, save the department money by buying these cars instead of repairing them every month. We're spending $1,000 each month to repair them. Any questions?
How much are 2 cars that you're wanting to replace worth today?
Anywhere from 15.8 to 16.9 each. Them are 55,000 less, or well, 54 to 5,500 miles on, or 1,000 miles on. I have a truck usually runs for 2 years. They usually try to take them out of service around 50,000 miles.
Maybe I misunderstood. Our cars, how much are the 2 police cars that we have today worth?
Maybe $500.
Okay. What cost do we incur by taking the radios and the lights and putting them on the new cars, or will that be included in the new cars?
The equipment is not. The only thing we're going to have to really buy is going to be the cage unit for sure, because we're swapping 2 totally different model cars. The Crown Vics they don't make anymore. Pretty much any option we got, we're going to have to buy a cage no matter what kind of car we get. The radios, lights, sirens, all of that will interchange. The only thing we need is radar unit and computer stands. So you're looking at probably, I think the number was maybe an additional $2,000.
Chief told me that it was 1,600.
What's that?
1,600 to outfit one of the cars?
Well, we're looking at somewhere by the time you get everything fit, because you're looking at the console package. Console package is going to run you somewhere around 600. Computer stand for it's about 200. The cage is about another 250. Install is going to run us somewhere probably another 250. And then the striping package on it is probably about 150 on it. But by the time you get everything put together, you're probably going to be closer to about a 2,500. Kansas will sell us the equipment, but they want another $1,600. That's probably where that 16 came from. Kansas will sell it for $1,600. Oh, I'm sorry, Missouri will sell it for $1,600. Kansas will sell it for $1,000, but Kansas is automatically about $2,500 to $3,000 more than Missouri. So you're looking at a Kansas vehicle, by the time it's all said and done, if you want the equipment, almost $4,000 more, and we're not getting $4,000 worth of equipment.
Thank you.
We're averaging about, I'd say, I think it's kind of working about $8,000 a year is what we'll end up paying for pounds, somewhere around there for 2 cars. Once we do, basically we got to get put on this list with the troopers. So we have to say yea or nay to get put on the list, then we get called to the availability. We have 1 year from the date we write that check to make our first payment with the finance company. That's the way I understand it. So our new car should be paid off, I believe, at the end of the year.
Is that paid for out of the police budget?
I believe so, yes. That's part of that. But they still need the council approval to purchase anything that big. That's over a $5,000 limit. So what I'm asking is, I'm asking permission to either A, if the Charger's the ideal thing, we want to go to replace 2 problems now to save money, or hold out for an SUV. Either way, we need to get put on that list.
The thing is, by being put on the list, if you find a car, our payment would not be due until 1 year after purchase.
From the date we write the check. So when the day we sign that check over, we got 1 year from that date to start it.
To pay the bond, to pay the
Yes.
bond. So the sooner we get on a list and know what direction we're going, I think the more advantageous it is to get a car in service.
And we feel like we have the $8,000 per year in the police budget to make payments.
By the time we're ready to start paying on this one, we'll have the SUV paid off. And so
So
basically,
it would
all
just
we're
flip.
doing is adding I think $3,000 more to the budget on that side of it. So we'll say 17, we'll be chumping about, I think it's around almost 2,000 a month payment.
Okay, this is a lot to digest tonight. We can table this until the December meeting unless we're comfortable with going forward.
Well, it's my understanding that every day is valuable right now with the condition the cars are in. So,
Yeah, our cars are in dire shape, as we know when we see the maintenance bills.
if it was up to me, we'd vote on it tonight.
I think it would be the best interest of all of it, just at least get them on that list. If we want to go with the Charger route or the SUV route. I mean, at this time, I think it's more feasible probably to go Charger route because we're in dire need of them to replace them out.
There's no waiting time for them.
Chief?
Depends. If we're looking at 2014 Chargers, when I talked to them down there, they had 2 in stock, but those are probably gone by now. The Chargers are coming in on a fairly steady basis, so we may be 30, 60 days, maybe 90 at the top out on a Charger. The SUVs are all 1 year out at least.
How many cars are in the fleet of the whole police department right now?
6.
And
We
then-
got 3 dedicated cars and 3 patrol cars.
And 2 of the patrol cars are the ones that we're wanting to replace.
Definitely. We got the K-9 codes, administrator, or the chief's car, the SUV, school resource officer's car, and then 2 Crown Vics and patrol cars, usually afternoon, midnight shifts.
The issue right now on the 2 Crown Vics, I couldn't even tell you how many miles is on it because the dash systems don't work. So I couldn't even begin to tell you how many miles is on it. Right now, we're using the radar unit as a speedometer because we can't tell how fast the car's going without using the radar unit. Nothing in the car as far as the dash works. New dash assembly for that car is going to cost us about $1,500. put a new dash assembly in it, a new heating and control module for it's about $650. And those are just 2 items. I've got one car right now, new shocks, new tires, front end alignment, and the other one's right behind it.
So if we make a motion to put our name on the list, the council will still have to approve it before you buy it. Then we're not approving to buy a car right now. We're just approving to put our name on the list.
13 or 14, or we gotta kind of decide the car and model, or year, if we need a 13 or 14 model.
But wouldn't it have to come back to the council to approve the financing? Just because we're,
Now, I think once we get on the list and something becomes available, we take possession.
We're pretty much.
We'll have to make an ordinance to do it, but,
Well, yeah.
and the ordinance would have to be voted on. But this is a go-ahead to explore and get our name on a list.
I make a motion that we table it until we can digest all this information, any questions that need to be asked in the coming month, and we can make a decision on it next month.
Every month I hear the finance committee grumble about the maintenance cost. So I think time is of essence.
K-line car's gonna need a new transmission.
New transmission. It's acting up, I don't know how long it's going to last. Transmission on that one's gonna be roughly 25, to put a new transmission in it.
And I think we put this off until we're about to the end of putting things off.
I've discussed it for the last 5 months, and I've never got to rise at anybody, and so now we've got one car completely down. I mean, when you start getting cars down like that, you're not running just one shift. You start running the car 2 shifts, you're going to put twice the mileage on it, and now we're running the new car twice as much. When it's supposed to last us 6 years, and it's not going to make it if we keep on the track we're going. We used to be on a 3-year rotation, from my understanding, and that kind of all went in the handbasket when about that deal, out of rotation.
What is your recommendation, Chief, on this list? What is your
Well, my preference, my honest preference would be the SUVs. They seem to hold up better and work better. The problem is we're 1 year out on them. These cars aren't going to make it a year. I'm going to end up having to dump, in order to keep them on the road, I'm going to have to put somewhere around $9,000 into them to keep them on the road. So that in mind, we'll have to do what we have to do to make it work. So we'll look at what's available. And the only thing available right now that I can get within the next few months will be the Chargers. That's it. Nothing else on that list is readily available. Even the Chevy Impalas are not in stock. They don't know when they're going to be in 2015 or 16 rather. So I can't even go to the Impalas with any kind of reliability when they're going to be in.
So would you prefer a 13 or 14 car?
The 14s are a much better car. They made a lot of improvements between the 13 and the 14. The 15's even better, but we're not going to see 15s until roughly 2017, 2018. So they're going to start having more and more of the 2014s available. If we get put on the list with the 2014, we're probably looking early next year for one of those to be available.
Can you get by with one as early as next year? Would that help if we got one early next year?
I think so.
I don't see how one, I mean, we could, anything's going to be better than nothing. But the problem you're going to run into if we get one early next year, then you're going to refinance another one, so you're going to be paying again 2 financing issues for the next one.
Yeah, but if we get on the list for the SUV,
We get on the list for the SUV, we're a year out for that one. That's obviously something that we could look at doing.
well, I was thinking if you got one Charger early next year, you got on the list for the SUV, I wonder if we could limp along with at least one Crown Vic, salvaging from one to the other. Keep one Crown Vic and one Charger going until we can get an SUV.
That's an option.
I actually do like that idea a lot better. That would be another all-wheel drive car on the shift.
Are the 14 Hemis, are they all-wheel drive?
No, 15, 16. The 15, 16 models are the all-wheel drive. That's where they made a massive improvement on the Dodge Charger. They made substantial improvements between 12 and 14. That's why we really don't want the 12s. The 12s still have a lot of issues with them. The 14s, they fixed a lot of those issues, and then they improved upon them on the 15, 16 model.
I like those option, I do like that.
I want to make a motion that we go and try to get one charger, 2014 charger or newer if possible, by early next year. And see if we can't take two Vics and make one serviceable for a while. In the meantime, immediately get on the list for an SUV. That's my motion.
If I understand right, we'll go with the 2014 Charger early year, and then SUV.
Yeah, yes,
Put on the list for an SUV. What year of the SUV?
Earliest we can get it. Or the best one we can get.
What year is the one we got now?
I think it's 12.
12 or 13.
Yeah, I think it might be a 13 because it may have been manufactured after July.
Yeah, there are no more 12s expected.
So we'd have to go with the 2013 one.
Probably 2013.
Yeah, we're probably going to be looking at 13.
Yeah. But I'd like to get on the list
Whatever comes in
anyway.
the door.
Yeah, I'd like to get on the list right away for that.
All right.
You made a motion, second that motion.
Do we need to repeat the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
If this is not, oh, go ahead, Jim.
All right. My motion is to go ahead and try to acquire a Charger, 2014 Charger, as early next year as possible. In the meantime, immediately get on the list for a 2013 SUV, Ford SUV. And then try to take the two Crown Vics, which are in deplorable condition, and see if we can, combining the two, come on over and keep that, at least one of those in Charger in service until something else comes along, and we can.
Okay, is it the council's desire that I take the worst of the two Crown Vics and strip it down for sale?
I'm going to leave that up to you.
The problem with that, Jim, is the dashboards are out on all of them.
I know. So once they start stripping it out, they may see what the heck's wrong with the dashboard.
And if they don't,
Yeah.
that's when we look at it.
Well, no, we know what's wrong with them. It's just parts of the fact that I can't.
Before we do
It's a lot of
that,
problems.
it's either we can strip them down or we can try to do a resale program. I know a bunch of Mexicans in the city, they like cars. Cheap cars. So maybe I can wiggle the deal, maybe pull out a Miracle out of behind and.
But anyway, we got two to try to keep one running.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna have probably parts to keep that one running.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, but use as many off the old ones as you can.
I will do what I can.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Any other discussion? Motion and a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Weeks, you're on the hook to see if you can do horse trading.
Horse trading.
I got a piece of a Crown Vic, I'll trade you for a dashboard.
I'll do my best.
Do your barter now.
I got a trunk lens out right here for a dashboard.
Well, I got a lot of friends that repair cars and and I've been trying to get what I can get, but it's just like everybody, it's a common problem. So that's why you kind of got to go with the new stuff, or a newer model of it. My opinion is just sell it and get rid of it, keep that problem out of our hairs. Maybe change tires, whatever we do.
Oh, we're doing something.
Scrap it, burn it.
Okay, so we'll pass them out. Okay, next item on the agenda is approve city prosecutor 2-year contract. The handout that you're getting, Mr. Bauer brought in a late change today, item number 5. now reads, recognizing that there will be times the prosecutor will have a conflict or be unavailable, the prosecutor shall have the authority to appoint an assistant prosecutor with the same powers as the prosecutor, including signing tickets, plea negotiations, and court appearance. The assistant prosecutor shall be paid by the prosecutor and not the city. This would fall into line with our current arrangement with our prosecutor that is filling in for Mr. Timmerman. So it would just automatically happen should that need arise. Any questions on that?
And a comment, then paragraph 5 of the old agreement now becomes paragraph 6 of the new agreement.
That is correct. Well, yeah, this
The old 5 becomes the new 6.
old file. Yes. This. Any other questions on that?
Mr. Breyer's known that we're tired of crime and we want prosecution, we don't want free rides anymore. We want the hammer put down, and we gotta do something. And I believe prosecution is one of the ways that we need to stiffen our belt a little bit. So when we write tickets, we're not passing them off as their fines, we need accountability for this.
I think we have a very competent person coming on board.
I have such good things about him so far. Easy to work with and
All business.
Yeah.
All business. Any other questions or comments on the legal services agreement with Mr. Bowers? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the agreement.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, the current contract, just for information, goes through January 31st. So this will pick up on February 1st. He'll still remain where he's at in that role, but this contract will kick in on February 1st.
I'd
Okay.
second that motion first.
Okay, motion.
He made the motion, I'll second his motion to approve this legal service
Okay, so
agreement.
motion by Weeks, for a second by McManus. All in favor of approving the 2-year agreement with Mr. Bowers, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under Mayor Communication, in your packet, I was approached with the possibility of Holden being site for a KCP&L electric vehicle charging station. So I put this in here really for information tonight. And I said, you know how many electric cars we have in Holden? And he kind of looked at me and said, probably not very many. I said, well, you're right. But he said, it's a wave of the future. Well, that's to be determined, but I will leave it to your reading to examine the information that was provided to me. I would share with you that it would be installed free of charge to the city. But I think in the fine print, there is a minimal monthly payment that would be charged to the city for this. So I think we're just looking right now.
Why do they want one in Holden? And where
Well,
do they put it?
They're looking to the future, and they think that, you know, there will be traffic through Holden someday that may justify.
What they're telling you is, if you've got a station here, people will be more inclined to come here with an electric car. And once they come here, they can't wait to get back.
Where, do they have an idea where they're going to put it at?
Well, it'd have to be on city property, so we would need to identify city property.
Maybe we need to bank on electric police cars.
So much for high-speed chases.
Rebates and all kinds of stuff, you know, but I just been
You better hurry, because we're running out of those rebates. They come to an end.
If you hear any more about this monthly charge, I'd like to kind of know what that would be.
Okay. Also, For council's benefit here, I would mention that on December 5th at 6 o'clock at the Johnson County Fairgrounds, the council has been invited to the First Aid Tractor Pullers Banquet. It's an awards banquet. All they ask is that you show up and enjoy the evening with them. So that's on December 5th at 6 o'clock.
And that's at the Johnson County Fairgrounds.
Johnson County Fairgrounds. Next item on the agenda under ordinances and resolutions. Resolution R1-16, setting an opening and closing date for the April 2016 election. Had a chance to peruse the ordinance, or resolution, excuse me, that we will be looking at tonight. Okay, do I have a motion to approve resolution number R1-16?
Make a motion.
Motion by Thomas. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Corcoran. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is resolution R2-16, the Bartlett and West agreement. And I have another handout. And we have with us tonight, Mr. Ross. You want to come forward and visit with us a little bit here?
Basically, this is just a general services agreement, kind of like the engagement letter that you were talking about earlier. It says we're willing to work together. This provides basically kind of a master, and then anything that we do moving forward, we provide a task order. So it would be an addendum to that. I'll provide a task order that has the scope and services of anything that we move forward with, and then a fee would be associated with that. I think rough numbers, we were talking about like a maximum of $5,000 to get through the application process and get to a point of getting engineering services. Our thought was we could apply for the engineering services grant up front. That won't take but more than a few hours of putting that information together. And then if we get approved for that grant, then you can move into the next part of the program, which would be doing the actual engineering report and pulling all the data that you have together, updating that report, and then submitting that for a construction project. So kind of two pieces. And so if you're wanting to move forward with that, then it would be a matter of approving this agreement, and then we'll add that task order as we go.
You probably explained all that when you was down here at that last meeting, but I unfortunately was a little late getting there. But
It's all right.
what kind of total engineering costs are we talking, is that, for this project?
For the construction and everything?
Well, to get the grants and
Most
$5,000
cases, the first part, to get through the first application process and get to a point where you can apply for the construction, yeah, I'd say $3,000 to $5,000. Once you get to the construction approval process, then that could be $5,000 to $25,000 depending on what the scope is and where you go. But again, we're hoping we would get the grant to pay for that. So that the grant would pay for the engineering services to do that first evaluation. Typically, the grant is a 70% to 90%. So, like I said, the City of Lexington, we got 70% of $100,000. So they paid $30,000 out of the 100. Oak Grove was a 90% of a $50,000 project. So they only had to pay 10% of theirs. I've seen some at 95%. Usually it's in the $10,000 to $15,000 range.
So that gets us to the point that we start doing work in.
Well, that gets you submitted for a project and then applying for the approval of either a loan or a grant for the construction. And then if we get into the actual construction, then that would be a separate project, which then you go to DNR for construction approval and all the regulatory pieces that go with that. And then the engineering piece would specifically be whatever that project design was, and we would work through all those details with you beforehand.
At least we get the preliminary engineering and your own stuff we can get done fairly inexpensively.
And shouldn't cost us but like 5,000 and maybe 30% of 30,000 or something.
That's what we're hoping, yes, absolutely. I know not all the funds have been expended at the state level for those programs, so hopefully we can still get in and get part of that. Otherwise, it would be waiting until their cycle for the
I
next year.
assume your firm's well versed in getting these things.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oak Grove, Lexington are two of the ones that you know here locally. Actually, up in northwest Missouri, they had a lot of issues with the flood and water treatment and contaminated wells. We got a $12 million grant for a $30 million project. That was the biggest one of the whole funding process in the whole nation that year. So, yeah, we have experience in doing that, and also working with like the people at the county, working with the state grant administrators, and just using those relationships over the years. One of the things I pointed out last time is using some of those people there's specific words and specific language that they want to see. And
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Yeah.
It's kind of a,
almost like an art.
yeah, if you don't have your paperwork right, they just throw it out. Personally, I wouldn't have a clue. So, here we are relying strictly on your firm, and
Right.
that's why I was asking some questions.
Sure,
I
absolutely.
don't want to see the cities throw money down the drain.
No, and I say anybody can apply for these programs. Like I said, a lot of the programs don't get all the applications to expend all the money that they have. That's one of the issues with USDA the last couple of years is they haven't spent all their money, and so now they're looking like they may get some of that funding cut. So they're encouraging people to apply. But that would be on the construction end once we get to that point.
Any other questions? I've entertained a motion to approve resolution R2-16.
I'll make that one.
Motion by Councilman second by Councilman Weeks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is approved truck and tractor pull event, be bill number 11-04-16. Just take a few minutes to remind the council of the economic impact that our last pull had on the community, the immeasurable amount of goodwill that was created, the positive impact on the community, and most importantly, the working together of the city, the police, the fire, the street, and the many volunteers that was involved. I think it was a time that Holden can be proud of. And we have some tractor puller representatives in the audience tonight. They've not asked to speak, but they certainly have come back to the city and would like for us to try it again with the brush pullers as well as the Missouri State Tractor Pull people. I put in your packet 2 of the contracts, one from each organization, that spells it out in black and white, what the cost to the city would be, and the revenue. That sheet that you got last month spelled out the fact that it was very financially successful for the city. In fact, the city realized over $8,000 in profit, or funds that would go into a special account for future use by the city. Any discussion?
It was a long, long day. But the outpour of the community that were there supporting it, you know, loved it. I think actually went a lot better than last year. At any given time, if anybody was there, at 9 o'clock, we were out of change, so we just had to quit taking money. So we filled the lot completely up, was using exterior lots to get people in there. It was great. We had a really good time. It was just very tiring. I want to thank Brush Pullers and Missouri State guys. They did a lot of work to help us out and a lot of good contacts to get it done. And they were more than willing to jump on board and full force on doing it again.
Anybody from Missouri State board here?
Well, I'm not a board member. I am a member of the Missouri State Association.
Good. After the council meeting, I've got one of your signs, the yellow with the red arrow sign. In the back of my truck, I would be more than happy to return it to you.
Thank you. I just like to say, you know, the city council members that got in and supported this last year, the mayor, made it work great. And they were down there all day working. And it, you know, it started from the time it got voted on and approved to the time the poll went on. And there was a lot of in between time there, and they all jumped in and went out and got donations and all that, and sponsors and everything, and that's what it takes. It takes people working together to get something like this done. And I think it's a great thing for the city.
Thank you.
And one thing about going out and getting sponsors is that actually we got to talk to a lot of people and different points and views of everything from the weather to the tractable itself. But it actually drew in more people by getting out and talking to them, knowing that their representatives were there working. I think pretty much Nipco was out there, Raker was out there, Angie, Clark, and myself. I don't remember if you were there.
I was not there.
It was fun.
Word on the street is that we have one of the best tracks in the area, if not the state. Years ago was my first tractor pull. I don't know anything about it. But if they tell me that, I'm going to believe it.
There was another tractor pull that got rained out and they were calling to come to ours. So we actually got a lot more on top of all that.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve bill number 1104-16, an ordinance approving to enter into contracts with Missouri State Tractor Pullers Association and the Missouri Brush Pullers Association.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councilman Clarkin, second by Councilman Weeks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. We'll do a second. Yeah, let's do this next one. Okay, next is approval of appropriations. Entertain a motion for approval. Remind the council, its finance committee meets Thursday prior to the regular council meeting and does review the invoices.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Gilchrist. For a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Bradley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, reports of committees and all other business. We'll start with Councilman Weeks. If you're ready.
I'll start with water. Two things, the new sewer plant is online, it's opened on October 14th when they started. The UV system, they don't use it in the winter, so they take it offline. They were going to build a racking system, store it, get it out of the way, so it won't let it work. Interesting fact on that is I went out for a tour, Mr. Larry took me out there for a tour of the place. It's kind of impressive a little bit. The UV lights, you gotta wear special gear just to pull them out of the water. They're just kind of weird. Last time of the meeting, last Tuesday, they completed 1,000 feet of 1,300 feet of, on Lexington Street, put the 40 mains in. They were going to ask Larry from the street department if he could come in and lay some asphalt in their trenches. BPW was going to pay for the asphalt system of it. FEMA called and asked for the kickoff date so they can get that started on their side, on chemical costs and stuff for FEMA. And I inquired about asking for an open house for the public to go view the sewer treatment plant. I asked as soon as possible. They kind of decided on May because it's all mud with the grass to grow. And in May, there's National Water Week. So it kind of goes hand in hand with each other. So maybe get everything out there, get some other representatives from the water service system to go out there. And as far as that goes. Police side, we're still taking applications. We're down one officer. So if you know anybody wants a job for a cop, send them out, please. We're doing 12-hour shifts, business as usual with them. We approved the cars to get on the ballots now, so we'll report down. That's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Jim?
No, nothing, just FYI on Main Street, we've got a couple of dates set for work. Main Street Design Committee is working on Market Street in that area there. And we're going to, I think this month, we're going to pull pavers up and save them for future Main Street projects. There are over 1,300 of them, and they're in good shape, so we're going to hang on to them. And then I think on December 5th, we're going to see about if we can get some of that old outer concrete and the area that's underneath the pavers pulled by there. And we're working in conjunction with Larry Miller, so we get that filled in right away, so that there's not a danger to the public.
Okay. Might talk to him about storage too, if you haven't done so already. Councilman Burton? Nothing? Jim?
I've got a deal here from Larry Miller. It says, Mayor and City Council on November 16, 2015, David Ryder completed 6-month probationary with the Holden Street Department. David is satisfactory, completed his probation, and I would like the Mayor and City Council to approve David as a full-time employee of the city. So I'm going to look this report on.
Sure.
So if there's no objections, he'll become a full-time employee then. Off probation on to full-time.
I did have a question as to what became of the, you sent out a request for the city to come up with comments on more.
I'm going to address that after we get to the council. Thank you. Nothing? Okay. Yes, I did get comments from the public and questions, and I have a packet for each councilman tonight to take home. And December, we can put a place on the agenda for this to be discussed. I copied all of the comments, all of the questions, as well as some additional financial information year-to-date on this contract from Holden Public Works. So There's a lot there's a lot of reading. I think we put it on the agenda for December to discuss. I think we need to gather as much information as possible so that we're all in a transparent discussion here about that topic. Yes, Jim?
On that topic, I have something that I would like to bring up to the council. The letter that was posted on the city's Facebook page, seems to me it was the topic of business of the city council. And we have a quote on the city's Facebook page that says, Holden's new Facebook page site is an attempt to better communicate with the citizens of Holden and the surrounding areas. We encourage users to check Holden's Facebook page to keep up to date on activities and events. The City of Holden will not engage in conversations regarding the city government topics or activities.
On the Facebook site?
Yep.
Okay.
Day-to-day.
And I'm taking it that you wrote that. That sounds like you. So my question is, why would we post?
I guess you're right. So I will take credit.
I was just,
I think that was a compliment, sir.
I thought maybe the letter that got posted to the city's Facebook page during company hours. I don't know who posted it, but I think it was wrong. And I just wanted
They're talking
to,
about Linda, and she was not here when she did that. She was at her home.
well, do we have a policy in the handbook that states to city employees making comments towards other city employees?
This sounds like deja vu from past years, but I wasn't here, but I've certainly heard about it. What's your reason for bringing this up?
I just don't, well, I agree with this comment, and I do not believe that, and I'm going to have dialogue with the whole council. It's not the mayor. I think we did a disservice to the city of Holden to allow the mayor to put the comment that he did in the paper. We should have stopped it. With this, we've already crossed that bridge. There's no reason to look for comments and use the verbiage to terminate a contract. We did that 2 years ago. We spent a whole year going through the contract line by line. It was very painful, several Saturdays. I was on the BPW at that time. And here we are bringing it back up in dialogue that it's like the comments that was put in the paper made it look like the council was agreeing with the mayor. I totally disagree with the mayor, and I think, like I said, the council did a disservice by not speaking up and saying, stop, we're not going there. So that's just how I feel.
Have you read the contract recently?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it very specifically states in that contract, and I don't have one with me, that 2 years prior to the expiration, the council will have the opportunity to vote for termination, which doesn't mean it ends, but that's the only way to open up a dialogue with the council and the Board of Public Works to make changes in a time frame that is appropriate for both organizations.
Well,
It's not an attempt to terminate it, it's just the way that the contractor wrote the contract and the council approved that contract.
was that on any of the council's radar that we needed to revisit the contract with our contractor for water and wastewater?
Well, I couldn't in good conscience let that time pass and be negligent should there become a need to have it done.
Well, just remember that that's not our decision to make, that the BPW has full power over the contracts, and the council cannot break the contract with the contractor.
I have a memorandum here from Joe Wellers, the city attorney, dated 7/13/2013. And there's a paragraph up there I'm not going to get into, but in our opinion, the Board of Public Works, which is an administrative board of the city of Holden, has the authority to enter into agreements on behalf of the city of Holden for water services based upon Missouri statutes and the city's code of ordinance, see RSMO 91.450 and Holden City Code Chapter 110. The Holden Board of Public Works has full and complete control, charge, and management over the waterworks of the city. Further, Section 110 states that the city council shall approve all contracts entered into by the Board of Public Works. It does not state that the city council is responsible for administering or managing the bid system used for the Board of Public Works matters. Rather, the Board of Public Works is vested with the management authority for matters relating to waterworks as stated above. And I, for the life of me, can't see why we can't go along with Bob. If this is a reoccurring deal, we don't get anything else done.
Any other comments?
It's a big, I mean,
I make a motion that as a council, we tell the Board of Public Works that we're perfectly satisfied with the way they're operating the system, and they can enter into contracts as they see fit, as far as the council is concerned.
We don't have to do that because we already have it.
Well, I'm trying to get something that will stop this nitpicking. We haven't done anything in the city except have a tractor pull, which is a good thing. I'm not denying that, but, you know, stormwater and all this stuff just goes.
We just had, that was part of the meeting tonight.
Yeah, but we've been a year and a half since I've been on this thing and haven't done nothing else.
Angie, were you in favor of going out for a comment on the contractor? Jim Nipko, were you in favor of that? Would you have voted to do that, or would you have voted not to do that?
I didn't understand why we needed to, sorry.
Yeah.
How about you, Doyle? Were you in favor of going out for public comment?
I'm always open to public comments.
Okay.
I mean, good or bad, it doesn't, you get to see the light from someone else's view, and that's the only reason I would do it.
Well, taking Joe Williams' statement here in hand, what good did it do? You know, I think you said, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, somebody asked, well, why don't they just take those comments out of the Board of Public Works? And if I remember correctly, you said that they feel intimidated.
That's been reported to me personally.
And yet, I think you said in your newspaper article that you weren't asking for negative comments.
That is true.
And, well, that sounds to me like a certain amount of a Freudian slip in the fact that why would anybody that was going to have a positive comment be intimidated to tell somebody that is going to say something positive about it? I'm dumbfounded. And back to this deal on posting that on the
City's
Facebook page. You got a copy of what was posted?
Okay.
I think that needs to stop and stop now. If the city people employees don't understand the limitations of their being able to talk about the city business, I have no problem on their own time. But Sharon, she put it in there as the name of the city of Holden. It wasn't in there when the family.
Yeah, it's posted as the city of Holden.
Her name was in there, as Linda Danforth.
it's supposed to
Her name was down there on the
No.
bottom, it said Linda Danforth.
It said the
She was
city of Holden.
answering a question that somebody asked.
That's not what I saw.
Well, I, for one, say we as a council
You know, the
should stop.
city employees got in trouble one time, several years ago, because they wanted to go out for a contract. And we signed a petition to go out for a contract, and we got in trouble for that.
Who'd you get in trouble with?
The mayor,
Who was the mayor?
Harry Hedges. And we got reprimanded, every city employee that signed that. I didn't sign that petition at work. I signed it in my own home.
I wouldn't be for that necessarily, but here it
It's the
says,
same thing. If she writes a Facebook page at home.
not
At
as
home.
the city of Holden.
It's posted as the city of Holden.
That's because she, if I understand it
Administrator.
correctly, she went on the city's site at home and
That's the only
respond.
way we could,
That's the only way
I
we
can get on it at home and it's gonna come.
There's a
City
copy of
Hall
the
because I'm on
Facebook
there.
page. City of Holden, August 14th.
Not on the Facebook page.
Let's take down the Facebook site, you know, if you can't go
I'm
on
not saying you gotta
Facebook,
take down the Facebook
excuse me,
site.
if you can't go on the Facebook
We
site
can't look
at
at it at
home,
home
Yes, but not in the name
and
of the
not write
city.
on it? Well, Linda and I can get on there and put your minutes on and all that. Somebody's gotta do that.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
would you like to do it?
No, you can do that. I haven't got a
So
problem with
if
that.
she's
but
at
when you
home,
start-
she can't answer her own, somebody's question they asked?
She can answer it as Linda Danforth.
Yeah.
She did answer it as Linda did.
She didn't either. She answered it like that. City of Holden.
Well, it's the city of Holden.
It is the city of Holden because she can get on there and answer.
Well, which one is the governing factor then?
That's her.
Let's get Linda the Facebook page.
The city of Holden will not engage in conversations regarding city government topics or activities. Is that
Maybe.
the way we're gonna live
So
with
an
it?
employee can't?
Sure they can. I have no problem with that.
She
but they
can
do
if
it
she's
under
logged in
their
under
own
her
name,
own
not under the
personal
city.
Facebook page, but it says
She is
comments,
on her.
city.
When I go home, I
What's
can
that?
get on there right now and say, we had a council meeting, and it's gonna show up City of Holden because I'm the administrator and she is too. So we can put things on there.
You can't get on there as Sharon Manford.
No, because
How do I ever get on there?
if you were the administrator of the city's page,
Well,
it would come up.
it says here that attempts to better communicate with citizens of Holden. How do citizens of Holden get on? If they've got to go through the city.
Is it a group? Are you saying is it a group where you can get in and you can read, but you can't make comments onto that Facebook page as an average citizen? Is that
It's
the
City
way
of
it's set?
Holden's page. It's like-
So I can't make a comment? All I
You
can
can
do is...
make a comment.
Okay.
And someone made a comment and she answered it. But she
At
was
home.
at home when she did it.
I have no problem with that.
She didn't sign her name.
Because she is the administrator of that page. So it's gonna come up City of Holden.
Well, why would it be okay?
Create another account under Linda Danforth.
You have to change what you're using. You have to change your user. And it can be, you can't fit it.
You know,
as your
I think
name.
that's very destructive to have interdepartmental things like that. That was pretty blasting people.
What was the truth, what she wrote?
Well, it says here, one of the things, my husband and I received a letter from BPW reprimanding us for signing a petition, and I have to ask myself, I find that hard to believe, but even if they were, what did they do to reprimand them? Turn their water off? I don't think so. Fire? I don't think so. Probably the worst thing they could do is maybe if somebody hadn't paid your bill, and you come in there and say, can you give me a couple more days? And they'd say no, because you're a bad guy. And that's about the extent of any kind of reprimand they could give. So I question the validity of that. And I can't imagine the Board of Public Works put something like that out.
Satisfied with their contract.
Anyone else have a comment?
I do. I'm not done.
Yes.
Are we having a problem putting the city minutes on the city's Facebook page? As of tonight, we'll be 3 months behind on putting them on there.
Jerry, you know, I have a lot to do during the day. I don't have time to sit there and put your minutes. I gotta type all that on.
Actually, you don't.
I can't,
It's
okay.
a cut and paste from a Word document to the Facebook page. It's that simple.
I'm not that smart.
We'll work on that. We'll work.
Well, the reason I asked is I had a citizen in Holden ask me a question and I referred him to the City of Holden's
They'll call
official
me, I will
Facebook
be
page.
glad to send them.
And I said, the minutes are posted on the city's Facebook page. And when they told me they weren't, I'm like, some of us are not. So I was trying to use it as a tool to help educate the citizens of Holden.
We'll work on it.
I just send up the administrator Facebook page.
Well, are we just gonna say the heck with it? Or as a council, do we want people talking for the city and making negative comments about anybody? I don't think so.
I think what is needed is that if it is a city person who's getting on Facebook, that they have to change that
User profile.
user profile to their own personal profile so that we understand that the comments came from a private
It's
citizen.
not the city employee.
That's right. Yeah, it's coming as a private citizen.
Sure.
This
That's
is-
all I'm
this is-
asking.
Yeah, and the same would be for myself or Jim or any
Yes.
other. We would have to go on Facebook's page as a private citizen. And all we're saying is that if you, Sharon, or Linda goes on to the Facebook page for non-city business, or you're responding to something like what Linda did, change the user's profile so that it comes out that you are a private citizen, not speaking on behalf of the city. And that's really what we're saying. That's all we're saying.
I've got another thing that I'd like an answer to too. There was a letter written to FEMA by you, Mr. Mayor, and signed by you, Sharon, that said back during the floods that we had, Johnson County was declared a disaster area because of the flooding back in June and July. And the council, I never heard a thing about it until I get a letter where the mayor and Sharon had written a letter to FEMA saying, hey, we didn't have any flood damage in the city of Holden. Now, I beg to differ that we did have flood damage, and I wonder where you all get off speaking for the city in that manner. It was never brought up to council.
When you're through, I'll respond.
Okay.
Okay. As mayor, I rely on the police chief, the street department chair, the fire chief for information to me. I went to Larry Miller many times during our rainy season and said, are we having any problem? And he assured me no. When the FEMA directive came out that there was FEMA money available, I went to Larry again and said, Larry, did we get any damage because of the rainy period, May to July? He says, no. Okay. Now, the next thing I know, the water sewer contractor, yourself, and I don't know who else, was going around on behalf of the city looking for damage. And I'm thinking, okay, we have hired paid employees to have a responsibility. Why are all these other people doing our job for us? I was a little offended. No, I was a lot offended. You've had your turn. I'll give you a rebuttal when I'm through. So anyway, Larry and I, after many conversations, determined there was not flood damage to the city. Things that were being assessed as flood damage were old problems that were not as a result of the flood, or not the flood, the waters that came during May to July.
So that,
I'm not quite through yet, okay? So as a result of all these other people going out like a posse trying to find damage, I decided, right or wrong, that I would write a letter to our emergency management lady because there were people trying to tell us we had damage and we didn't. Now, if they would have come to the mayor and said, we think you've got damage, we saw it over here, or we saw it over there, Larry and I would have gone and looked at it. There was no conversation with the mayor or the street man over this damage. So I began to wonder, well, who's in charge here? That's it.
okay. Well, for one thing, I'd love to come and talk to you, but the last time I come to City Hall, I stopped at the city clerk's office and I got accused of attacking women, and that kind of cured me of that.
Well, when police have to be called, I'd say it's pretty logical. That's a whole different subject. Let's talk about the emergency
Well,
management.
I'm trying to explain to you why I'm not over there talking to you about some of these things.
Well, call that Larry Miller.
That
Don't learn that either.
He come over to my shop and he told me there wasn't any damage, and he said, Tony was trying to say that there was flood damage, and I told him, my very words were, I'm not gonna condemn anybody who's trying to get the money to help the city repair any damages that we may have. And that didn't sit too well with me.
I wonder why.
Well, why wouldn't?
Well, you and Tony were collaborating to find damage. Our own street man was left out of the conversation until after you had done your
He come and
assessment.
told me there wasn't any damage.
After the fact, after you all had
No.
gone out.
I didn't go look until he had told me there wasn't any damage. And I thought, I find that hard to believe that there's not been any storm damage in here. And I could show you significant storm damage. And we've just thrown that money away. You know, the question I gotta ask myself is, why would you do that? I mean, you know, even if you didn't have damage, FEMA's not gonna lock you up if you say, come over here and look and see what you think. That's what it's all
Get
about.
ahead of that, put your name on it.
What's that?
If FEMA
I
does
wouldn't have
come
any
back
problem
and wants
with
to
it
lock
because
somebody up, they'll be.
They're not gonna lock anybody up. They make a determination, you go in and you apply, and they come over and they make a determination, well, yeah, that could be storm damage. And they even help you take care of stuff that's been progressive storm damage. And we've blown that.
I guess you're second guessing me. You have that right. I stand by what I did. I have no more comments.
Well, I think it would behoove all of us to try to work together and maybe, how about a phone call?
Any other business?
I do. Can I ask more business?
Yes.
I just would like to express my concern to the council that on our budget for the year, we pay for a city attorney to sit up there, and it's in our ordinance, and it also says that. The mayor's spin is that we're saving the city $300 a month by not having the city attorney here. We have dialogue with the city attorney, weekly, monthly. We still incur charges to the city attorney. Some of those charges might be taken care of because we could talk to the city attorney while he's here, but that's not always the case. It's a budgetary item. We voted to have a city attorney here. It's an ordinance, and I think that the city attorney ought to be here every meeting, unless he can't be here for some reason. A special meeting, yes, that's different, but what's that?
I said, I feel sorry for the Boy Scout that's sitting here and has to listen to these.
That's city politics.
We're trying to make good citizens here. That's our goal. Well, Councilmember McDaniels informed me at the Finance Committee last Thursday that the city has an ordinance that states the mayor, the clerk, and the city attorney is supposed to be present. The city attorney hasn't been present only by invitation since I've been mayor, and my predecessor, who was mayor for 8 years, only had him here when it was necessary. If the city council, the current city council, wants the city attorney here at the rate of $375 per meeting, I don't have a problem with it. I think we need to